My name is Shama Ahmed Al-Kabi. I'm 16 years old and I'm going to be talking about law of sines. So, what is law of sines important to? It's important to finding values in a triangle. So if we can see here, this is the law. Sine of capital A over A equals to sine capital B over B equals to sine capital C over C. Now what does this exactly mean? We need to look at the triangle. It's labeled for us so we can explain it easily. Usually triangles don't come labeled, so you need to know how to label them. The one important thing about labeling is to know that it doesn't matter where you place the A or B or C. It just matters that you place the big A with the small a. Like, what do I mean by that? Okay, let's say for example I take this angle and I call it A. I'll call it angle A. The capital letters, important to know here, capital letters are the angles. So this angle is capital A. And to know what side it goes to, or like where the small a is, you need to draw a line or like see where it opens up to. And as you can see, when I draw a straight line, it hits this side. So this side will be small a. Same thing with here. This is capital B, which means this is the angle of B. And if I draw a straight line, it will hit this length, or this side, which means this is small b. Same thing with a C. Angle C, goes straight, it hits this side, which means this is C. So this is an easy way of figuring out how to label your triangle. So what does this mean? So sine of A, capital A, the angle of A, over the side equals to another degree or angle, sine of an angle over its side. An angle over side equals to another angle over side. Sine angle over side, sine angle over side, which is what we're exactly taking here. You can also, usually when you're solving, you don't use the whole entire, you don't use the three of them together. You only really need to use only two parts of the equation, which is what I mean by part is this is a part, this is a part, and this is a part. So for example, let's say I don't need to know the B's. I just need to know A's and C's. So I just need to use this part of the equation and this part of the equation. We don't need to use a B's. But usually you're writing them the same, so it doesn't really matter. Also, an important note here is that the reciprocal, which means we flip this over, so the small letters are on top and the degrees are on the bottom, just like in this law of sines. So as you can see here, there is a triangle for us that we're going to be solving, and this is just a little reminder of how to use these law of sines. So as I said, look at the angle and then connect it to the side, and this will be the side that the angle of basically it's a part of which you want to label. So this will be, for example, capital A, and it will go to this, which is A. But since it's already labeled for us as X, we don't need to really use these. We just need to understand how these translate onto a triangle. So we can just look at this reference photo here, and we can just replace it. This is a small a, this is a big A, this is a C, capital C as it's here, capital C. This angle is capital C, and this 7 is a small c. So how do we write it into an equation? Or how do we write it substituting the law of sines or using the law of sines, we write it like this: x over sine 46.5. Again, a over sine a. X over sine of this. And this part is using the c over sine c. So 7, which is the small c, over sine of this, in which we get x over sine 46.5 equals to 7 over sine 39.4. Now it's important to know here to make sure that your calculator is on degrees, not radians. So how do we solve this is we basically take this, we just want to isolate x because we just want to find this side. Okay, so we can solve algebraically like normal. We take this sign and we multiply it, and so it cancels this, but it multiplies with the 7, causing it to go up here. And then we just insert this part into the calculator, which will give us x approximately equals to 7.996, which you can round that up to an 8. So in the last question, we saw how to find a side. Now this time we'll find an angle using 2 sides and 1 angle. So here's the law of sines for reference. Again, you can use the reciprocal, which is sine a over a, which is what we will be using in this equation, or in this question. So now how do we write it? We just want to look back at the reference photo again, and let's see. So 25, 13, 25 degrees to 13. We can see that this is similar to capital A over A. So this we'll say this is A, and we'll label this as a small a. And we can see this angle, which is labeled as x, we don't know what it is. We'll call it, well, it looks similar to this, so we'll call it capital B into a small b, which is 21. So which equation do we use? This part of the equation, but we'll be using the reciprocal because it is easier to multiply that way. So we can just see we flip the sign on top and the small a and the small letters on the bottom. So we can see these are the sides are on the bottom. 21 corresponds with x. X opens up to this again, just to make sure that you guys are not lost with me. So the x opens up into the 21, so we'll write that under sine of x because we don't know what x is. We don't know what b is, so we'll be writing it as x here to find it later, over 21, which is the corresponding side, and then the same thing with this side, sine of 25 degrees, which corresponds with this side, which is 13, sine of 25 degrees over 13. Now how do you solve it? Well, first of all, we need to solve algebraically, now that we use the sign, the law of sines. We take this and then we multiply it, which will bring it up here to make 25 sine over 21 sine 25 degrees. So we just cancel this out from this side because we want to isolate x. So this gives us sine x equals to 21 sine 25 over 13. Now we still have sine. How do we get rid of that? Well, we get rid of it to isolate the x by using inverse of sine. Inverse of sine, usually it's used to like remove from one side to the other to bring it to the other. So you can put this part of the equation to your calculator and you will get x approximately equals 243.05. And this is it for the explanation. I really hope you understood, and thank you guys for listening.